Lads, we are back.
Still here.
Woo!
Hi, guys.
Playoffs. We are technically halfway done the second round because half the teams have qualified. Is that how it works?
I guess.
Good enough
Yeah.
for me.
Okay, before we get going into the hockey here, we do have some serious stuff we'd like to talk about. First off, thoughts and prayers go out to the families and friends of the Muslim family in London and all the atrocities that have been going on lately. Listen, a lot has been, I think the last few weeks in Canada have been a very difficult one for a lot of people, and that goes back to the 215 Indigenous children found. And, you know, we at the podcast, first off to the stuff in London, all forms of Islamic and any sort of hate of any kind. We're all people at the end of the day. I feel like we had this discussion during the summer. It doesn't matter your gender, your race, or anything. Like, simply put, we're all people. And if you go after someone just because either they wear a hijab or anything, I don't know what is wrong with you as a person, but there is something wrong. And at the same time, we should also say, as Ryerson students, or it sucks to actually have to say the name.
Well, Daniel's not Ryerson student anymore.
I still am until June 23rd.
Oh.
Soon to be Ryerson alumni, we could say.
Yeah.
It's long overdue that it's unfortunate the statue had to be taken down because it's not like people had been fighting to get that thing removed for literal years. In fact, there were even, do you guys remember, like last month, there was an email sent out about like, what can we do different? And it was, they completely tried to dance around the idea of taking the actual statue itself down. And it feels like everything has come out of the pressure about the children being found rather than the right thing to do about the school and everything about Egerton Ryerson. We should point out, by the way, for those of you who want any sort of context about Egerton Ryerson, listen to the newest episode of the Steve Dangle podcast, because at the end of it, Adam Weil does an amazing job of breaking down that man's history and why exactly it's the name of the school needs to be changed. He did not found the school or anything. Ryerson was like, you know what we got to do? Got to name it after this guy. And it's terrible. We, as journalism students, our first year, the first thing the program hammered home to us was the stuff about that statue. Yeah. And, you know, at the beginning of most lectures, a professor will talk about the land acknowledgement, though the school sometimes, those messages feel very hollow when we'll walk down Gould Street and there's the statue, there's a small crappy plaque, but the statue is right there, or it was.
It was our first story day.
It was, yes.
Yeah, it was. I remember doing, I don't know. There was like one thing where I remember a lot of students the year before were telling me about like how big of that was of an issue and what like Adam said of things about like what the messages and what was really going on, where this has already been going on, and then we're still on our first story day back to that discussion. It's like what to do with the statue.
Yeah.
This predates like the three of us going to Ryerson. Like this is a discussion. I remember partially hearing about this going on when I was in high school. This has been going on for a while.
Mm-hmm. Just do the right thing, Ryerson. You know, plus it's the journalism program itself too has had a very rough year. I think we can all say too. The school needs to sort of turn its image around, I think, right now. I love Ryerson, I really do, but there's a lot wrong with it. And the first step, it's changing the name. And it's unfortunate that so much has happened over the past few weeks for us to finally reach that point of the discussion becoming real. We'll see if there is a name change or anything, but I don't think there's been anything, right? I think the president of the school or something put something out, but there's nothing concrete yet. So we will see. And, you know, if you're the Ryerson conservatives, maybe give your head a shake. Anyway, though, it's always a sharp turn, but it is one we always take because at the end of the day, this isn't mixing politics and sports. It's human decency. We will always remind you. So we will talk about the hockey now. And it feels really bad to celebrate right now because of that discussion. But the Montreal Canadiens have swept the Winnipeg Jets. They are the first team to advance to the Final Four. Tampa Bay would join them the next day. We'll get to Carolina, Tampa in a second here. Because, mesdames et messieurs, les rois du Nord, the kings of the North, the Montreal Canadiens. And a friendly reminder, everyone, Mark Scheifele will miss the first game of the regular season because he is still suspended. I love it.
Salt to the wound right there.
Did you guys see his comments earlier today?
I have a funny tweet about that.
Yes.
By Dan Robson of The Athletic.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I have to admit, I didn't see the Mark Scheifele heel turn coming.
So this is the exact quote from because it's Jets locker room cleanout. Quote: This is Mark Scheifele. Quote: I thought I was going to be tried to shut down by Philip Deneau, says Mark Scheifele. Instead, it was Department of Player Safety that shut me down because player safety were the ones who threw that hit. Obviously,
well, it's like,
just take it off the chin, man. What are you doing?
Let's say this. Even if he was playing, don't think much was changing.
Oh, no. There was Evolving Wilds had some of the stats about the goals for stuff. It was brutally in favor of Montreal. I also want to read this one thing. This was from Paul Byron in 2019 when he actually was penalized for charging Mackenzie Weegar. Remember, in the aftermath of that, there was a fight. Byron got concussed. It was a whole thing. So this is from Paul Byron in 2019. Quote, I accept and respect the decision made by the Department of Player Safety. I would like to make it clear I had no intentions of causing injury or finishing my check through Mackenzie Weegar's head. I think my history and the way I conduct myself on the ice shows a lack of intent to injure other players. Despite the lack of intention, I have to accept responsibility for my hit and realize the result of the hit was to the head and caused injury. I would like to sincerely apologize for my hit and wish Mackenzie all the best and hope he is okay. I've learned a lesson through this and will make sure any future hits result in a clean and legal fashion. So that is an opponent of Mark Scheifele for one game in this series had that response, and Mark Scheifele responds by having that quote about player safety shutting him down. I am so done with Mark Scheifele. No respect for him whatsoever anymore. He is a baby to me now. He's a crying baby the way he's handled this. And I don't feel bad that the Jets lost. I don't.
It's weird. So like two things that come to mind for me. One is what Alex said last episode about let's not look at the history of things. Let's just see what the stuff he's doing right now. And really from the hit to what was going on with it now, he's really doubling down on this. He's really what Dan Robson said. He's really leaning into the heel persona. And a big thing is like when they really voice their views, their opinions on things recently. Like I think we always mention in other sports, we like it when certain athletes have that personality and they come out with things, but this is coming out completely wrong. He's not doing it in the right way whatsoever. And it's just one of those things where we said it so many times, like learn to read the room.
Yes. Alex, go ahead. I'm going to try and find these numbers on the series, by the way.
Yeah, it feels like I when he made the comment after the game, like I think he's just gone an extra step. I'm like, okay, if it was just whatever he said after the game, leave it at that, man. Like I get he was probably asked the question. It's like, what are you going to say that's really going to make anything better at this point? Like not a whole lot.
I'm still trying to find the goal score, but anyway, this was a series that I think you can easily say that the Canadiens looked like they had it since game one. The Jets had next to nothing going. Pierre-Luc Dubois must be hurt, by the way, because that guy it seemed to be completely...
He was a bit slow, like compared to what we're used to. I mean, like him coming into the offensive zone, I could kind of see that the passes were there and like the playmaking was there, but again, like that extra stride was missing.
Did you see? So on the game-winning goal, obviously, Caulfield sends the great pass and goes like under Josh Morrissey's stick and a wide open Tyler Toffoli. There's another forward you see who's like trying to get a stick in the lane, and I guess maybe he lost the other man there who had just happened to have been the open Tyler Toffoli, and that extra forward was Pierre-Luc Dubois. I mean, obviously Pullman getting pine-coned in the corner and, letting the short king get the puck over him was not great. And pretty sure Andrew Kopp the Jets were just a complete mess, honestly. No offense, but Adam Lowry should not be your best player in the series. Besides the goalie, obviously, and Hellebuck was very, very good. We know that. I also want to mention that apparently, I didn't realize, this is the first time Shea Weber will ever play in the third round, which is incredible.
Oh, yeah, because they went to the finals the year after they traded the Predators.
Right. Mm-hmm. And before that, they just ran into Chicago every year. I was like, well, this is what's going to happen. But man, go ahead.
No, also, Ehlers was also injured. He said he was 100%, but this is from Mike McIntyre from the Winnipeg News. Nick Ehlers says he played through a posterior labrum tear. I don't know where that is. For a good chunk of this season, then suffered a rib fracture, which took him out of the lineup near the end of the year. My God,
that's not great. Do we know if anything was wrong with Blake Wheeler?
Let's see if I can find it.
Just because he was kind of quiet too.
I didn't really notice him at all in this series, to be honest.
Then that's the problem. Well, I want to mention about Montreal's game before maybe going to some individual players as well here is after the 2-0 goal, some teams may sort of crumble a bit. And, it wasn't the best Carey Price has ever played, especially that second Logan Stanley goal was not great at all. The Habs never let up. I've never quite seen it from them like that because even after the Jets tied it, the way they were playing, you never thought they were going to lose. We all love this term. We've overused it a bit in the past, but I think we can say what the Habs had in that game 4 was killer instinct.
Not the video game.
Yeah, no. Killer instinct. I know what he's getting at.
I wish I did, but no.
I mean, yeah, like that. It's the Bruce Boudreau video that always goes around of him in Washington. And he's like, it's one thing to think you want it, but it's another thing to actually go and do it. Mm-hmm. That's what Montreal's doing. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's what the killer instinct is. It's just that's the weirdest way to describe it for me. Like that's what it is.
I think that's the thing too, where Adam, you always mentioned that maybe you have it developing, but you don't have that it star kind of thing where they have quality players that they're able to put from lines 1 to 4 that it's like go out there and play your game. And again, like we always talk about that fourth line, but for me, it's like that accountability line where it's like, these guys and these older guys and Yoel Armia are really showing it. They're really pushing it. And they really showed like they were in top 5 in scoring in the series that it's like, listen, we're doing our job here. How about the younger guys, the guys that are getting paid more? Like, let's see more out of it. And I think that's been the case so far where they let in a bad goal. Like that Logan Stanley goal, I think was one example you said where that wasn't a good goal at all. Like that was something that should have been saved. But again, it's like they just didn't lie there in the mistakes. They kept going and they kept going in the waves, which I really felt that's what you need to do to break down the Jets, where even if that center depth is shot, they still had those quality players there. They just didn't perform or they didn't go up towards the standard that Montreal set for the series.
By the way, I think you mean the Armia line because Armia himself is only 28, but it's the other guys that are like prehistoric, aka Stalin. I'm sure you meant the line itself because that was the rough cycle, the washing machines. I love Corey Perry and Eric Stahl. They are wicked.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Eric Stahl and Corey Perry are wicked. Yeah.
No, the other part.
The washing machine.
No.
Hard cycle.
I love
Corey Perry.
Yes.
Yeah. It's weird to say.
Just to answer your question from before, Blake Wheeler is injured. at the presser this morning, he declined to give details on injuries he's dealing with. Says he has a number of things to get looked at. Can't say if it potentially could keep him out of camp in the fall. And Dubois, I have here, since we were talking about before, said he has the usual minor bumps and bruises, but nothing serious enough to impact his game.
You know what's crazy to me with all of this? We mentioned before that you have a goalie like Hellebuck who is playing a huge amount of games.
He was great.
And then he was still great, but in past series we saw like how exhausted he could get without like a real good backup behind him. Mm-hmm. And I'm feeling now like that's what they're doing with their forwards. I feel that they do so well in the regular season, and then like it's like they just throw themselves to it where it's like they get to the playoffs by not that much. Like once they get there, like there's not like they're all injured, they're all doing questionable things, and it's just something that's not sustainable. Like remember when they went to the conference finals, Blake Wheeler talked about how, you know, just how much he had to give it his all, and it's finally catching up to him if he's gonna miss a bit of training camp.
Well, let me double check something very quickly here. Blake Wheeler, 34 years of age. That's not great. People are talking about the decline in his play, and it's a serious concern. He's still got some term. What's it, $8.5 million? I don't know, man. This is the part of the podcast where we laugh at the Vancouver Canucks, by the way. I know we talked about it on our group chat. Did we mention the Nick Suzuki thing on the show?
I don't think we did.
So, for those of you who don't know, to make Vegas take Chris
Thorburn.
Yes, thank you. And to protect, I think it was Marco Dano and someone else.
Tobias Enstrom.
Toby Enstrom. To protect Toby Enstrom and Marco Dano. The Jets gave up a certain pick, and they moved down too, and it ended up resulting in them moving down. They took Vesalainen, right? Mm-hmm. The pick they gave up to Vegas became Nick Suzuki. Yep, Nick Suzuki, who put in all that great work in the game-winning goal. Speaking of the game-winning goal, ladies and gentlemen, Tyler Toffoli. Oh, Lord, I love him so much, and Jim Benning's the best.
And it came out this week, a couple days ago, actually, that they did not confirmed they did not offer him a contract. And he was expecting one too. It's like maybe doing things day by day might not be the best approach.
I love the Canucks.
Just an idea.
I'd like to thank them for this Habs series. And now we look. And the Canadiens will be waiting for one of Winnipeg. Not Winnipeg. They beat Winnipeg. They will be waiting for one of Vegas. Think of this for a second. The Montreal Canadiens are waiting for Vegas and Colorado right now.
Yeah.
We can't really predict a series with Montreal because we don't know who they're quite playing yet. But I will ask you guys, which would you like to see face the Montreal Canadiens? The Golden Knights or the Avalanche? What series tickles your fanny more?
Colorado.
Why Colorado?
Just I think it'll be an entertaining. I think both of them will be an entertaining series, but I also need Colorado to win. But also, just I'd like to see some of the best players in the world go up against Carey Price, and the best players in the world who can actually do stuff.
Yes. I see you're calling out McDavid now.
And Matthews and Marner.
Yeah. Who needs elite talent when you have a goaltender? Weird sport. Weird sport. Daniel.
Okay, so I'm gonna give both my arguments about why both would be good, but then I'm gonna give you the slight edge after for which one I'll choose. So for me, Colorado, everything Alex said, plus that edge. I don't know. There's something we always bring up when we call hot takes, throwbacks, fun facts. Something about the Avs against the Canadiens. That's just something there that it will mean so much to the show for us. Where you always mention how you love Nathan McKinnon. We all love Nathan McKinnon. And then we have the whole thing about, the Patrick Waugh trade. And looking back on last summer where we mentioned it in our, when there was no hockey, about what that really meant to the Habs. So it's just some degree to legacy there. Seeing the Avs back in Montreal, and just having that, because for sure with the whole thing with Patrick Waugh and Mario Tremblay, like that's something that's going to be discussed if they ask them about it.
They have not lost since they got back and were friends again. They haven't lost since. It's ridiculous. The magic is there. This is also going to be interesting because it's in this round. Before I quickly throw it back to you, Daniel, to give your Vegas argument. First time these teams are going to play each other this year.
Yeah, that'd be.
Forgot about. Yeah.
That's like, I know, that's looking like back at, like, we love the North Division, but just to have that again. Well, we it was okay, but
boring after a month. Anyway, sorry. Go
but
on.
yeah, like seeing like a team like the Avs that don't really come to Montreal too often, that'd be a really great thing to see in a playoff series. My second thing for Vegas, and I'll keep this one short, it's just I want to see Marc-Andre Fleury versus Carey Price, and also I want to see Mark Stone versus Philip Deneau, where like there's two guys that both clamp onto the star players. I just want to see how those two top lines like match up against each other. Because we're going to discuss Mark Stone later on about his defensive play, but that's something I really want to see. But again, like for what we said, for what it's meant to the show, what it's meant to history so far for the Avalanche, I'd like to see Colorado versus Montreal.
Nice. It's also kind of funny that none of us have mentioned the fight of Pacioretty versus the Habs again. That would be pretty sick to see. Okay. We might as well cover the Vegas series. Colorado were up 2-0. It's now 3-2 Vegas, going back to Vegas. And you want to talk about Mark Stone. Jesse Granger has a great article in The Athletic. Nathan McKinnon has been kept off the score sheet. We saw what Phil Deneau has done in the first two rounds for the Habs. Mark Stone is doing the precise same thing now against Nathan McKinnon. And I kind of love it. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, Nate, how dare you? Because I'm this close to making an excuse to call Phil Deneau the best player in the world. And I don't know how I'm going to.
Oh, my gosh. Really?
Defense wins championships, damn it.
Guy Carbonneau.
Man, people say, why is he in the Hall of Fame? Oh, he didn't have points. Like, points matters, right? The playoffs are important, people. You know why Wayne Gretzky never won in 93? Because Guy Carbonneau was stapled to him.
Well, who was stapled to Luc Robitaille?
I don't know. Kirk Muller? I don't know. Who was he high sticking is the better question.
Oh.
By the way, you know what we didn't mention?
What?
The CN Tower was lit up in Habs colors yesterday.
Like, what would they? I know that, like, they're like, oh yeah, we're going for Canada now, but just really,
who's going for Canada? I never.
Like, that was the excuse
that
John Tory gave. That's like,
well, no, I never understood that argument.
Yeah, I have a thing too. I remember someone said when I was in elementary school, someone said like, oh, you just don't like Canadian, like you just don't like Canadian players. Because I went for the Ducks over the Ottawa Senators. And I'm like, how can you, as a Leafs fan, to like all my fellow students there, how as a Leafs fan can you go for the Ottawa Senators?
It's just like there's no such thing as Canada's team. We all hate each other here.
Yeah.
We all do.
There's two exceptions. The Raptors and the Blue Jays, because there is one Canadian team in both of those leagues. Like, I'm in New York. If the Islanders lose or the Rangers don't make the playoffs, right? The entire fan base does not shift to the Islanders. Like,
apparently the company like CN, apparently they're based in Quebec, but I'm like, whatever. But it's just like the hilarity that you can go to downtown Toronto, look up, and it's like, oh, it's the CN Tower. I love that so much. And apparently, like, the bet that the mayors of Montreal and Toronto, apparently the flag is going up today, like the Habs one. I give it 2 days before someone takes it down, by the way. But, man, that's going to be great for the Amazon series. It's like the last shot of defeat is just the lit up CN Tower.
It took the city. I
love it so much. I like Steve Dangle's reactions have been amazing. But Mark Stone kind of went off of that for a bit. But Mark Stone, if this is not the year he wins the Selkie Trophy, then I have no idea what's wrong with this planet.
Because they love centers.
Yeah, exactly. Because he's not a center. I think what he needs to do is transition to a center, and then he'll win.
I forgot who said it, but there's someone's like, you need to get some offense going. You need to put Blake Wheeler in the middle. Who cares if he loses? He's like, I forgot. I think it's on CBS. It's like you have to. No, it was Dave Poulin. There you go. It was Dave Poulin on TSN where he's like, who cares if he just loses the face-off? That's just one face-off.
It's almost like possession doesn't matter to people anymore. Anyway, though, like, he's a good player, isn't he? Good player. The thing in this series, like, Colorado were a lot better in last night's game. I will say I thought they had a good game 5, but there were just some really costly mistakes from Ryan Graves. Ryan, Adams' dad.
Yes.
Ryan. And it's costing them. And I mean, I love how I'm like, yeah, Grubauer's really good. And then he gave up like a stinker in game 4 and was not amazing last night.
Yeah, but everyone gives up stinkers.
Yeah,
I like the Marc-Andre Fleury, the first goal of the game. Like, what was that?
I mean, the defenseman.
Is Kadri still not back? I can't.
He'll be back for game 7.
Oh
yeah. So for those of you who don't know, his suspension was upheld by the independent arbitrator, so it's done. Like he cannot come back until game 7.
Right. Okay.
I make it there, by the way.
Can't do math, so it's.
I haven't added it up. I just saw Frieden talk about it. I'm like, okay, good. I'm not going to question you.
I trust him. I trust him
but
enough.
If there's a game 7, would you put him back in?
Yeah. I need it.
Like back at his like traditional spot, or would you put him lower in the lineup?
No, I'd put him back at second line center.
It's game 7. Nothing matters.
Here's like that. That's one thing. And I also think he can the red mist, as people call it, is there, but he does play the game on an edge, on a bit of an edge. He is close to crossing that line sometimes. And I think you kind of need that, especially in a game 7.
He crossed it like last week.
Yeah, I know. But he does play on the edge.
There.
He does play on the edge.
Oh, we want to like Kadri. It's just, man, just pick it up. I am disappointed with the way Colorado's been playing lately. I won't lie. Jared Bednar is rightfully just – he saw the moment game 2 was done what was going wrong. And we laughed about it last episode, but he was very much right in calling out the star players. Kind of like Carolina are a massive disappointment to me this year. And I don't like people all of a sudden saying, they're young. They're getting better. Aho got paid.
Yep.
I'll never forget that. Svechnikov he bet on himself, but he had an 8-year deal there. Okay? Those guys are getting paid. They have to produce now. Jordan Stahl, sorry. Imagine that, Eric Stahl. Imagine beginning of the year looking at Buffalo and saying Eric Stahl is going to go further in the playoffs this year than Jordan. I don't like a lot of people saying, oh my God, Carolina, they're just so young and fun. No, they don't get that excuse anymore. That's been them for a couple of years now. This is time to perform. I don't care if it's the Cup champions. You still lost.
Yeah,
I think yeah. Like if they pushed it to 7 games, let's say, I think we're having a different story, because I think did they not lose in 5 to Boston last year as well?
Yeah, and it was kind of the same thing where it was like they grinded it out, they got the 1 game in, and then they just kind of looked like not themselves the rest of the series.
They didn't score. In the 1 game they did, they took it apart, and they just hey.
And
yeah,
I think in the past we would have said one of the issues was goaltending, and I think putting Mrazek in that 1 game did seem to backfire, but I wouldn't argue that goaltending was the issue this series.
No. I thought Nedeljkovic, the entire playoffs, was really good for them. When do we ask the question, would Sebastian Aho be performing this way in Montreal?
Well, I'm just trying to think now, like, what would be like the domino effect if he actually that was not matched and he was a Hab?
I don't think Jesperi Kotkaniemi would be a Montreal Canadian right now.
No,
I don't think it would be. There's just a feeling I get there. I don't think he would. I don't think so.
It won't shift to the left side again?
No. But
yeah, back on Colorado, I know what you mean, where Dougie Hamilton's already 27. That's
Carolina.
Yes, with Carolina.
You said Colorado.
Oh, my apologies. Shifting to Carolina. Yeah, I kind of felt that too. Like, this was a year where they had to go further, more so because of that defense they have there. That if they lose a main cog in Dougie Hamilton, it's huge. It's going to be really big for them. And the way I kind of see it too is that it was disappointing for me, that offense, because they have developed so well internally with all the guys that they've brought up. And listen, they are quality guys, but they're just missing that it factor in terms of offense outside of that top line. And you could get something that you want out of things, but a Vincent Trocheck there, that was disappointing to me. A Brock McGinn who was getting quite a few minutes, that was disappointing to me. I think that for the way Carolina was set up, the way that they played, it looked like they just tried to, okay, this is going to sound like a funny pun. They tried to weather the storm instead of actually fighting it off.
They did lose Nino Niederreiter.
They did, yeah.
However, Nino Niederreiter is what's going to... If Nino Niederreiter is the fabric of your team, then you have the stability of a snowman in the summer.
I think I think what they need is like another offensive threat. Yeah. And I think we were also having that discussion in the summer, like before free agency, in that they needed goaltending and they needed another offensive threat. And obviously, I have a feeling they were going to go after Leonard, but obviously they didn't. They stuck with their guns. They call it luck or whatever, but they still have Alex Nedeljkovic. And now what they need to do this offseason is go out and get another offensive threat. And the only move they really made was Jesper Fast. And it's like, I don't think that was enough. And now you're in an off season where you have to worry about, okay, what are we doing with Dougie Hamilton? Yeah. And it's like, man, like if you just got it right last year, and they have lots of cap space, like they have $27 million in cap space. Mm-hmm. They have quite a bit of work to do, but if they just got it right last year, now all we have to focus on is Dougie Hamilton.
Yeah. You think they revisit what we mentioned before, where there was a bit of that rumor where they look at Columbus now, it's like, hey, let me listen in on one of your goalies, or do they stay with Alex Nedeljkovic?
I thought you were about to say Leinen.
So was I.
Ooh. I think we can agree that I thought like Nedeljkovic. Again, like when you're scoring like a goal a game, I'll entertain a Leinen conversation. Oh, they got money, maybe.
They have the prospects. Like they've drafted pretty well.
Yeah.
Like take away Mrazek's playoffs this year. Like it wasn't great. But I could see them bringing back Mrazek and Nedeljkovic going into next season, and that being your tandem.
Mrazek he's a good backup. He's just I don't know where people get this illusion that Mrazek's a good starter. He's never been.
So that was a real junior thing because, like, not saying that it holds up now, but okay, I know I bring this up a lot, but it actually was because he did bring in, he did anchor a really weak Czech team. And then he was just one of those guys where they thought, all right, if Detroit just keeps these guys in the AHL for 5-6 years, he's going to become a starter. That's what happened to Jimmy Howard before it all fell off.
Well, Jimmy Howard was never special. He wasn't anything special, though. Yeah. Jimmy Howard, he was fine.
He was good, for a bit. We think about last season, but he was okay.
Man, and no offense, the Czechs are meh every year. The Czechs, they haven't had an amazing young who was the last great Czech player?
Filip Zadina.
Mechanics. The best Czech players of this generation were Thomas Tatar and Thomas Mechanics. Both named Thomas. Before that, Yager, pretty good player, but still. And he was retired from national competition for a decade.
Caberlet.
Okay, so hey, we got Jordan. We got
whole name Thomas.
Caberlet. Another Thomas. It's just your name Thomas. And you play for the Czechs. It's okay, so we got Caberlet. Okay, let's go to Olympics with Caberlet. And then the Canadiens. Oh, hey there. Every all-star defenseman in the world. Oh my God. PK's not even playing in 2010. He didn't make the team. I'm thinking of 2014, right? The seventh defenseman in 2014 is easily could be the best defenseman in Czech history. No, don't give me this whole thing of, yeah, you're going to look good if you just get shelled every night and make a couple saves. Like, stop it.
Okay, I have two current Czech players. Okay, before we move on, two current good like Czech players who are like considered the best right now who are active.
Okay.
David Krejci and Jakub Voracek. Oh, David Pastrnak.
Okay, that's okay. Fair enough. I'll give them that. Decent player. Decent player.
I forgot because I'm looking at the scoring one. I'm like, there's also Andre Palat is there.
Really? Oh, never mind then.
I mean, Palat, Tomáš Hertl, Habs legend
Again,
Michael Frolik.
Another Thomas.
Yeah. Okay.
The
So
list of Thomases
basically,
grow.
Canada B team is better than the Czech still.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, maybe not on the goaltending because it's like you got to think about it. It's like, man, okay, Price in the playoffs shows he's still good. Mackenzie Blackwood did not have a great year. Carter Hart disintegrated.
Yeah,
it's really going back to like Fleury and Price next year. I mean, like, hey, listen, you perform in the big stage, you perform in the big stage. Unlike the Hurricanes, who can't win the playoffs.
Or the Dom Luszczyszyn choice.
Who was his choice?
Mackenzie Blackwood.
But he had he wasn't that
Yeah.
great. Yeah, but how do you honestly go to? Yeah, true. How do you, after these playoffs, go next year and say, hey there, Mackenzie Blackwood?
I mean,
I would bring Blackwood simply as the third goalie
over Carter Hart.
I'd bring one of them. Like I'd bring one of the two and say, here's the experience of being at the Olympics. Like that's what it is. What are the chances that they actually play, right?
Yeah, that's the 1998-2002 argument where in 1998, Patrick was like, I'm playing every game. And he did.
Yeah.
And then 2002, Martin Brodeur is like, after Curtis Joseph started the first game, he played every game. So like you could kind of just risk it and just go, I'm riding with the one goalie.
Yeah. Because, I think right now it's very clearly Price and Fleury.
Yeah, Price, Fleury, and then
one of the young
guy. Yeah.
Mike Smith.
Guy who is not going to touch the ice.
No, not Mike Smith.
Mike Smith. Where are we? Yeah, we should probably talk about Tampa Bay too. They're a juggernaut. And holy cow, Braden Point continues to be like the best playoff performer in recent memory. He's got like 25 goals in his last let me find the Dmitry Filipovich tweet.
Yeah, it was like 31 goals and 31 assists.
Oh, he's just
in his last two playoffs.
Let me find the exact.
Yeah, like what I gotta follow Braden Point, we already knew he was really good. And it's just weird. It's just he keeps getting better every year. And like when I talk about the Lightning team, I just want to say, yeah, they're good. They're great, like as expected, but it just let's add like a certain degree and another oomph to it with the way Braden Point's been able to score, that it's just so entertaining.
31 games, his last two postseasons, 21 goals, 21 assists.
Oh my God. So good.
Pretty good player. Oh my God. And he didn't get the Constable that Victor Hedman did, but maybe Braden Point should have won the Conn Smythe Trophy.
If they win again, which is a possibility.
I mean, the way it's looking, unless, I was about to say, if it's the Islanders, I mean, we saw what happened. Yeah, because did Tampa beat the Islanders? No, because
did they beat the Islanders in the conference finals?
Was it them and was it Boston in the second round?
I will double check for you right now. So they beat they beat Boston in the second round in 5 games. Oh my God. And they beat the Islanders in the conference finals in 6.
So one of those two are waiting for or Tampa's waiting for one of those two to come out.
And Tampa really hasn't changed.
Meanwhile, waiting to come out of the other half of the league is one of Vegas, who lost to Dallas in 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello there. Colorado, who knows how they match up. I mean, it's just don't take a penalty, but then Nazem Kadri, hello there. Or Montreal.
Slim pickings.
Tampa's probably going to repeat.
They might, yeah.
Probably.
No, I think we can call it the Tampa Bay Lightning or your 2021 Stanley Cup champ. Holy crap. Vasilevsky, what was it like? Back-to-back series of clinching with a shutout.
That team is just so good.
He's too good.
So exciting games. Then we get to the Islanders, and Islanders games are fun unless they're winning. It's even worse when you're watching and Gary Galley's on the cover.
That's a great way of putting it.
Another thing, yeah.
It's just, man. I muted the Colorado game last night. I couldn't do it. He pushed me. Remember how last year after my jaw surgery, the Islanders made me start watching basketball because I just couldn't play off. I couldn't do it. Gary Galley made me nearly stop watching the Colorado. I mean, it was a terrible game for Colorado anyway, but overtime, got out. Though, what we should probably look at is Bruce Cassidy is like the funniest man on this planet. That with a straight face, let me get his comments up after Game 5. The Islanders are winning the series 3-2. It's eerily similar to Pittsburgh, isn't it? Cassidy's comments after Game 3 on Monday, 5-4 Islanders win that gave New York a 3-2 series lead. This is all from a sports article. Speaking to the media after the loss, Cassidy commented on what he believes to be inconsistent calls from the series officials and suggested it is due to part of the perception of how the Islanders play. Quote, I think they sell a narrative over there that it's more like the New York Saints, not the New York Islanders. They play hard and they play the right way, but I feel we're the same back. But I feel that we're the same way, and the exact calls that are getting called on us do not get called on them. Went on to say, and I don't know why, these are very good officials. They're at this point in the season for a reason. You've got continuously high sticks everywhere, the exact same high sticks. Maybe we need to sell them more flop, but that's not us. You hope they'd see them. I mean, the same calls go against us, so it's not like I'm sitting here going, well, every call is against us sucks. It's not true. I find it, lads, that's the end of it. I find it hilarious that the coach of the Boston Bruins is going, we're not getting the calls. Brad Marchand got away with licking 2 people in a single run.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
You've had Zdeno Chara. Like, come on.
You had Milan Lucic in the past.
Like, can we talk about that Krejci, again, only got fined for slashing, was it Barzell in the nuts?
Yeah.
And we're talking about not getting calls. Did Krejci get a penalty on that play?
I don't think so.
And even if he did, I'm like, yeah, that's a high stick, isn't it, Bruce? They didn't miss that one. I don't think the Islanders have slashed any of your players in the cojones. What are you going on about? And then he gets fined $25,000 for it. And afterwards, he's like, no, it was more towards Barry Trotz's comments about Bergeron cheating in the faceoff. Nothing's against the official. Even though in the same, he did say we have good officials, even though the quote earlier, he said they're missing all these calls.
Remember the Sharks said that about Crosby?
Yes, they did.
And they said he's cheating.
Shut up about it right away because everyone cheats on faceoffs. Everyone does. It's the point.
I remember, there was a meme before. Stably Cap?
Sorry?
I'll send you guys after. There's a thing called Stably Cap where it's like poorly drawn hockey memes. And there was one for that where the Logan Couture and the Joe Thornton comments where it's like, that's who he is, Sidney Crosby. He just cheats on faceoffs. And then fast forward to the World Cup of Hockey. It's like, hey, Sid, are you going to teach me how to cheat on faceoffs? And it's like, yes, for Canada.
Yo, I hate those new Tim Hortons commercials, by the way.
Which one?
Shea Weber. I like when the guy says Shea Weber.
Shea Weber, he's not a first ballot. Oh, we bleed oil. Yeah, you're bleeding a playoff loss again.
Patrice Bergeron, best two-way player in the league.
I've heard it so many times that it's like I don't.
It makes me not want to go and buy it now.
Yeah,
I just miss my commercials with Sid and McKinnon. Anyway, Alex, you have a word on Bruce Cassidy being the biggest liar in Shut up, Bruce. A bigger liar than Bruce Wayne with his double life. Shut up.
I just think it's funny, considering the amount of years he's had Zdeno Chara, and all the things that just kind of fly under the radar.
Brad Marchand's entire career.
Yeah, literally Brad Marchand's entire career. But the funniest thing to me out of all this is I got fined 25K, and it's like, it's just the fines in general are such a mess in this
It's
league.
so inconsistent that like, okay, you hit a guy in the cahoons, $5,000, and it's like you made a comment about the officiating, which he didn't even actually use like any swear words whatsoever, and $25,000.
Hey, don't mind me. I'm Tom Wilson. I'm going to shove this guy's head into the ice. $5,000.
Coaches don't get as much as players. I'm like, this is actually like when you look at the percentages of like their salaries and the fine, that's crazy.
Well, don't forget the team normally cover it.
Yeah,
I'm sure Don Sweetie was like,
Here.
we got here. I mean, it wasn't Tortorella bad.
No.
Remember after Corpusalo got hurt after like a complete missed call? It was a good one for it. The Islander. Wait. First off, what's up with the Bruins and Tuukka Rask? What's going on here? What's up? What's in their kitchen here?
I thought he was pulled. I didn't know that there was an injury of some sort.
People are saying that it was. People are saying different things about whether it was an injury or not. He's looked hurt, but then why start him in a must-win game?
I think Cassidy said, if I can go find it again, that he is playing tonight.
Yeah.
Tuukka Rask is playing.
He's their guy.
He's 100%. Yeah, he confirmed 2 hours ago that Tuukka Rask will start Game 6, and Jake DeBrusk will play. I think it's the once a year or once a season Tuukka Rask shenanigans.
By the way, I can't wait for Jake DeBrusk to be traded for Seth Jones. You kind of actually hope so, because apparently Jones is back now. Because that came out.
Okay.
Because decline in play, who knows?
He's past his prime at 26.
Exactly.
I don't know how. I'm sure there's some Columbus tax on there.
He doesn't want to be there. It's like a Pierre-Luc Dubois. Like, I just don't want to be here.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Let's also talk about the New York Islanders just continue to win because the Islanders just do what they want.
It sounds like the typical New York Islanders.
Yeah, right? Like, again, I use the face hugger analogy, the way they play. Just, like, it's like you can't get rid of them. They're the way they play, it just, I don't know. You stepped into like a sticky spot.
I really hope that I kind of want them to win because Boston, who roots for the Boston Bruins.
Unless you're in Boston. Again, yeah.
Yeah, but they aren't real people. They don't exist. That's actually a fixture of imagine. Let me be very clear. I am not disparaging the people of Massachusetts. Can't say it. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, I feel like Boston's actually it's like a place full of caricatures. It's like a Dr. Seuss novel. They're actually just figments of our imaginations in our side. Like, if they're not actual real, they're all actors.
What we saw of the Tea Party, it's like, that's the same image from all those history books we've seen in school.
That's like, it's such a bunch of like Spanish people after, I don't know, man. Like, Boston is, there has to be something about you as an entire city to turn away from Brad Marchand and the things he does and be like, oh no, what's going on here? You're like, stop it. Stop it right now. But the Islanders, like, you always, like, it's funny if they win because it's like, it's the Islanders. Woo, yeah, Barry Trotz, the Eggman. But it's just terrible for the game if they can continue. Because at least Montreal have some fun rush chances in that. Like, they got exciting players. Like, Barzal's awesome, amazing. We all know that. But it's like, Kyle Palmieri, who continues to score. And it's like, oh, Travis H. Oh.
He's back to being a shutdown guy.
Oh, Brock Nelson. Oh, no.
Andy Green, who looks like, I don't know, he looks older than.
I forgot he was still there.
Yeah, he's still playing. Like, I haven't seen him in a while. I think it's because I keep seeing his New Jersey Devils pictures.
I don't know what happened, but my pen just blew.
Oh. He looks older than Bruce Cassidy.
Bruce Cassidy's probably stressed because, the refs are out to get him. Oh, no. I've lost it. God damn it. This is my favorite pen, too. Okay. I think that's everything, right?
The Norris.
Yeah, the Norris Trophy. Defenseman. Ooh, Adam Fox is a finalist.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. Victor Hedman, who only has one Norris Trophy, I think, which is
surprising.
Disgusting. And Kale McCarr.
Yeah.
I say that Hedman wins it, but we find out Fox is like second overall.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Really?
be surprised if that's the case.
I'd have Kale McCarr second.
Oh, Daniel, the advanced stats community is going to come after you now.
I know they're gonna come after me.
I feel like if people had been talking about Adam Fox throughout the entire year, maybe we get it, but it felt like it was a late season push where people would be like, no, he's good. Look at all this. But it's like, oh, well, sorry.
Too late.
I don't mean to disparage him. I'm sure he's great. I've looked at all the numbers. It's just, I'm like, yeah, Hedman.
I think he runs away with it in one, like against the two youngsters for now, but they're going to be back.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have one more thing if we're done with the Norris talk.
Go ahead.
There's a lot of bases to cover. What else did we show? We're done. It's the Norris. Oh,
all
no.
Right.
Anything else, guys?
One more thing.
Eric Carlson, is he still good? I wish he would. Go on, Daniel.
All right. Ray Shero.
Oh, yeah.
Has been named senior advisor to the general manager of Bill Guerin. So ironic. Well, not ironic, but it's funny. Shero traded for Guerin when he went for those cup runs with Pittsburgh.
Really?
Yeah. So it's kind of funny now that they're working together. Like Guerin's bringing back, like he brought back Bonino, Ian Cole. He's bringing, I think, I brought one of the scouts from Pittsburgh. So it's kind of surprising where he's looking to that championship roster and management and saying, I want to recreate this in Minnesota.
Was Shero GM of Pittsburgh when Bill Guerin was there?
Yeah, he was the guy that because it was Greg Patrick, who I didn't know he was the GM when they won back-to-back cups with Lemieux and Yager, and then he drafted like Crosby, Malkin, I think, yes, and Jordan Stahl and Chris Letang, and then when they weren't making the playoffs, they got Ray Shero, and then they won with him.
Yeah, but then it's time in New Jersey. Yeah. Taylor Hall. Merkley might be exposed in the expansion draft. Keep an eye on the TikTok, by the way, for expansion draft teasing.
Boom. That's how it's done.
Oh, are we done, by the way?
I believe so. I'm just double checking Twitter.
Everyone open the Twitter and check what's going on in the world of hockey.
I do not see anything.
Oh, one thing.
Yes.
Okay, hold on. I really apologize for this, but I'm going to really mess up his name.
Let's do it.
Okay. Minnesota Wild second round pick, and a guy who they may be an article on him soon for the hockey writers. Marat Kruznutinov, a second round pick for the Wild, who is like supposed to be one of their top centers moving forward. He was a 37th picked with the Luke Kunin pick they got from Nashville. He had back surgery, and he is expected to return to the ice, which is an odd fact because he's the same height as Marco Rossi. They both play center, and they're both on the Wild.
It's good to see that Rossi's skating, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, happy for that.
Okay. Well, we're going to end it there. Like I said, you're a good platform for the show. We appreciate you. What else? YouTube, TikTok, everywhere social media the show is on, even Facebook. Check out the YouTube portion, especially because, our faces and that. And while you're on YouTube, subscribe to my channel and watch the Game 4 video, the Habs Swept. I thought it was pretty good. Oh, thank you. You've watched it?
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that. Thank you. What else? Alex's blog, Daniel's stuff for the hockey writers, and his alumni time at the Eye Opener if you want to look at some relics of the past. Our own personal social medias. Twitter. Yeah, ignore the night of Game 4 and all my French tweets. They're all appropriate. It's just when I'm excited, I speak French.
Exactly.
I'm sure Gary saw, Gary in our program, not Dr. Gould. I'm sure he saw some of the grammar in my French about sacre bleu. This is terrible.
Gary Gould be like, what's with the lighting in these in this podcast?
Oh, shout out to the freaking fire. Oh, no, he would. I have a ring light, Gary. By the way, shout out to the fireworks. People went up to outside the Bell's and there were firecrackers and fireworks. What is going on here? Oh man, everyone like they're gonna need to get like social distance stuff if Montreal continue to win because man, it's getting crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, shout out to the guys. Shout out to the 2,500. It's going to sound like 2,500. Swear to God, guy that the Habs fans are rallying around. Just this random. What's with Montreal and random French Canadians they speak to becoming massive memes within the fan base? I need to figure this out next time on the 201 podcast. That's it, though. We will see you later. And next episode, maybe we'll talk about Seattle stuff because playoffs. We're this time. By probably next episode, there will only be 2 series left. So
yes,
we're gonna need more to talk about. So bye.